Hello, and welcome to yet another interesting panel discussion today. It's an absolute pleasure to have each one of you here, and I hope you all are having a fantastic day. Let's kick off things with an invigorating topic, which is digital discoveries, exploring the landscape of emerging technologies. Allow me to introduce myself and AI CoreSpot to you, everyone. I'm Nitin Naveen, Vice President of Innovation Strategy at AI CoreSpot. With over a couple of decades of experience in the different consulting firms specializing in emerging technologies, I feel privileged to engage with global leaders, stakeholders, innovators who are shaping the brighter future. Joining me today are my esteemed colleagues, couple of esteemed colleagues, Arvind and Archana. And behind the scene, I have Naveen, who will infuse energy into this event. A heartfelt thanks to their dedication and efforts in putting this event together. Just to provide a brief background about AI Core Spot, it was established over 3 years ago, and it's a trailblazer in the tech space. We focus on emerging technologies such as AI, ML, robotics, IoT, and so on. Our webinars serve as a platform to share the latest advancements in these fields, providing fresh insights every month as we gain the momentum month on month. We aspire to become the premier AI driven community worldwide, fostering collaboration and growth among like minded individuals. We are committed to curate industry backed webinars and hybrid events, leveraging insights from industry leaders, subject matter experts, and all our trusted partners to deliver credible and valuable content. Additionally, our content is meticulously crafted across various digital platforms. It includes blogs, videos, podcasts, monthly newsletters, and so on. It keeps our audience informed and engaged about our upcoming events. So, bringing back to the focus to today's webinar, digital journey, navigating the landscape of emerging tech. Get ready for an enlightening discussion on different aspects. It includes current technological landscape evolving with the integration of AI and ML, challenges and opportunities, ethical considerations, security concerns, and so on. Our panel of experts is primed to share invaluable insights and engage in thought-provoking discussions that promises to leave a lasting impact. Before we dive into the conversation, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to our community partners, Shipped and InfoVision. Their valuable contributions have been instrumental in making today's webinar possible. And of course, a sincere thank to all our attendees. Your presence and participation are deeply appreciated. As we embark on this journey together, we aim to equip with valuable insights and facilitate meaningful conversations. Whether we walk away with innovative ideas or forge new connections, your engagements underscores our collective session. Without further delay, let me introduce our esteemed speakers for today's session. So, first esteemed speaker is Syed Ahmed, Senior Director of Software Development Engineering and is a fintech expert. Our second esteemed speaker is Andrea Popescu. She's Senior Director of Data Science at Shipped. Our third esteemed speaker is Mamta Suri. She's Director of Engineering as is a SaaS expert. Our fourth esteemed speaker and moderator for today's event is John Mendes, who's Vice President Global Practice Head at InfoVision. Before we proceed, a quick disclaimer. The views expressed by all our speakers are their personal ones, and it is not necessarily reflected those from their affiliated organizations. So let me hand over the stage to John and begin this exciting panel discussion. Over to you, John.
Perfect. Good morning and good evening, everyone, and depending on where you're joining us from. And thank you so much, Nitin, and a very good morning to our esteemed panelists as well. So we've got a great topic for our discussion today, digital journey, navigating the landscape of emerging tech, and an extraordinary lineup of tech experts and fellow innovators that have joined us today as well. We have Andrea Popescu, who's a leader with more than 20 years of experience in the data science, machine learning, the analytics space, brings in a wealth of knowledge and experience, having worked with brands like Turner Broadcasting, with Delta Airlines, and with Shipped. And we have Mamta Suri, who's a hands-on executive leader in the enterprise platforms, the SaaS space, having worked with brands like Oracle, Workday, and DocuSign and driving innovation. And we have Syed Ahmed, who's also been in the industry, experience across the fintech space, who has also worked with brands like Dell, and also leading omnichannel performance engineering e-commerce teams to achieve pretty much one of the best US holiday sales in the history of Dell at one point. I'm very excited to hear from them just as much as the audience is. And we're going to get started off in a minute as we speak about everything from development in the artificial intelligence space, machine learning, other emerging tech space that's been transforming businesses and industries today. We'll touch on the advancement in the GPU space and how architectures, affordability, scalability has been a catalyst for AI adoption, how technology could help achieve a balance between convenience and privacy amidst growing demand for consumers. We'll touch on the challenges and opportunities, some of the ethical considerations, security concerns, the regulatory landscape, the future trends, and a lot more. But before we get started off, just a few housekeeping notes for the audience that's on the call today. Please look at the Q&A chat box on your screen. If you think of a question for any of our panelists at any point, just type it in there and we'll get it worked in towards the end based on the time that we have left. Perfect. So we'll quickly get started off, and then from boardrooms to coffee corner discussions, the applications of Gen AI are currently being discussed in almost every company, and it's moved beyond just being a buzzword. We are seeing adoption from SDLC accelerations, and we have seen this being rolled out to developers by some of the major companies. We've seen different use cases. We are seeing that a lot of major investments from VCs and PE firms have been driven by the adoption of the AI space. So my first question is for all the panelists. I'd like to hear your thoughts on how the development in artificial intelligence, machine learning, and the other emerging tech space has been transforming businesses and industries today, and what are some of the real world examples that you see within your industry and your client industries. We'll probably get started off with hearing the views from Mamta, and then we'll go to Syed and Andrea as well.
Good morning, everyone, and good evening. Really happy to be on this panel. And John, as you mentioned, that AI, ML, and emerging tech has been changing the landscape in any industry you're in. And these are really, really exciting times to be in. I have never seen the acceleration of a technology and the adoption of a technology at such a fast pace compared to anything we have had before. So in SaaS world, there are things where, companies are using it to streamline processes, predicting user behavior, optimizing everything from customer support to marketing campaigns. Take example from CRM, customer relationship management examples. They're using AI to analyze data and provide insights and helping businesses tailor the offerings to individual customer needs. So, and this is not new. It's just that it's accelerated a lot right now. So machine learning algorithms have been there for a while. Like, for example, Netflix, they already were using it to predict what the user wants to watch next. Amazon has been doing it, like, other shoppers have bought this. So there had been some flavors of it in different industries, but now there's just a lot more focus on it. There are a lot more practical use cases that people are doing, whether they are small startups, whether they're big companies, or whether people just want to use it for their own personal productivity gains. So it's an ever-changing time. It's an exciting time. And I'm equally excited to see where this leads us. It's scary and exciting at the same time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mamta. And Syed, what are you seeing in this space, having worked with a lot of performance engineering teams and leading a lot of the holiday sales and working with teams in the omnichannel space as well?
For giving the platform and having us, I would like to double down what Mamta has said. its acceleration, what we see now, it never been witnessed by anybody. We talk about automation 10 years ago. It took a decade to get to that maturity. We talk about CI/CD 7 years ago. It took like almost a decade to people get to that maturity. But the way the AI and ML come in a way, like I can take a name of Sam Altman, within few days, it hits more than multi-million users, right? Subscription. That shows that curiosity we all built in towards the learning. So particularly as you ask this question towards the performance engineering, this is one of an art. It's not a science, right? So every single e-commerce giant struggle when holiday sales comes, Thanksgiving, Black Friday. So they used to prepare, beef up their infrastructure to meet 15,000 pages per second goal for Thanksgiving. And it will run throughout the year. That infrastructure exists, the servers running, the people are continuously optimizing it. There we had a shift bringing SaaS, as Mamta mentioned, right? So we can scale up, scale down, auto heal. Seems to be like a lot of rocket science to many when we hear about cloud-based solutions. Data science is not a new concept. If I say that, people will think about what he's talking. So it exists 30, 40 years ago on a book. So why we didn't implement that? Why it took like 4 decades? The reason for that is we didn't have enough resource for that. The compute power. Those days, the storage, what we need, the compute, the CPUs, not GPU at that time, right? So this all was the limitation. Now we are in a perfect era. We have all the resources what we need. We update billions of photos every single day just through the social media I'm talking about. So the data is huge. The data is everything. It drives. And coming to e-commerce harvested most out of AI ML in people's day-to-day life. I'm sure the audience over here, everybody would have shopped at least once in Amazon, or at least once in any e-commerce site. And the way it evolves, 6 pages to navigate to submit an order to 1 click to submit an order. How does that happen? It learns the pattern. It learns the way our preferences are, the personalization into it. And also it knows that what is my next move will be, and it adjusts the dynamic pricing. Before, the challenge was in e-commerce, I set up some price, run 2 days of code, testing, deployment, then we come to know the product price is somewhere cheaper than ours. We have no clue. Then
Is it just me, or did we lose side?
Yeah, seems like it. All right, he's back.
it seems like I have disconnected.
Yeah, we lost you for a couple of seconds there, Side.
No worries. I'll wrap up with this 2 examples, the real life example. The performance engineering, it becomes really, really easy with the way, as Mamta mentioned, the predictive analysis. We know when to scale, what is the behavior of the customer who do more shopping in the morning 9 a.m. or the evening 5 p.m. or the weekend. So our infrastructure works towards that. And we have amazing experience towards transforming special event sales. With that, I'll probably pass it on and add more when it comes to the next question.
Thank you, Sad. And you brought up a very interesting point on how all of this has evolved over time, right? So pattern recognition, dynamic pricing engines, how this is being done. A lot of clients are actually doing that to bring in loyalty and customized services for clients, better experiences as well. We'll certainly speak about some of the challenges around that as well in a while. But before that, I'd like to hear from Andrea on what Andrea has been seeing, having worked with companies in this space, and especially in the last mile delivery, the customizations, working with companies like Shipt as well. Andrea, please.
Thank you, John, and thank you for having me on this panel. I'm super excited to hear from my colleagues and also share my perspectives. I have to say, like, I resonate with everything that's been said so far. Algorithms have been around for a long time. It's the technology that makes it so exciting these days. And being in the gig industry, and I think the rise of the gig economy is a prime example of how these technological advancements have reshaped our labor market and business models, how practically convenience has become a product, right? Which is very interesting, I think. So in the gig economy, platforms powered by algorithms match freelancers with short-term jobs or projects. And without the advancements in the computer power, we wouldn't be able to optimize these matchmaking processes, the pricing strategies, and personalize the user experiences, right? So very much in line with everything that you've heard so far. And I would add that also the proliferation of high-speed internet and mobile technology has made these platforms accessible to a global workforce, empowering individuals to work remotely or on the go, which means we are breaking traditional employment barriers. And while it's exciting, it's also kind of scary to some extent as we move forward. How do we make sure we regulate somehow our industry to a way where exploitation is not going to be at all a problem. But I do want to kind of just touch on this a little bit of real world example of this transformation in industries like transportation and delivery services. Just think Uber, DoorDash, where all this AI, ML optimization of routes and matching the drivers with customers is happening. But also in the creative and professional services, platforms like Upwork and TaskRabbit leverage these technologies to match freelancers with projects, taking into account, factors like skill level, past performances, and client needs. And what is also important, besides the computer power, the internet, the mobile devices, is the integration of IoT devices. So this boom of data availability has also enabled new forms of gig work in the way of installation and monitoring, like smart home devices, offering completely new employment opportunities and business models. So I think overall the advancements in technology and all these emerging technologies have been crucial in creating and sustaining the gig economy, illustrating a profound shift in how work and living is defined, organized, and executed. And I think we are in a very exciting time where these changes in technological capabilities also signifies evolving societal norms and expectations regarding work, live, employment, right? So exciting times.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Henry. And then I know you mentioned about the wide scale adoption that we are seeing today, and how a lot of different factors have kind of catalyzed this adoption as well. You spoke about high-speed internet, you spoke about processing power, and it's been absolutely phenomenal, the advancement that's happened in this space, right? From 2G to 5G, and companies are already speaking about 6G today, and we moved from mainframes to edge computing. We moved from rule-based AI to real-time decentralized systems, and from voice, SMS, or data from just a few sources to IoT systems today. And all of this is kind of catalyzed. And I know, Andrea, when you and I spoke, you were mentioning about taking up specialization in the AI space, right? And you at a time when AI was not even center stage at that time, right? So, and you've been a leader in this industry for about 20 years. And I know you mentioned that you majored in AI image processing and then went on to complete your master's in operations research and your PhD in optimization. And over the last decade, we've seen GPU processing powers have surged so much. And 10 years ago, we're talking about mid-range GPUs like the NVIDIA GeForce, and today more of a mid-computing power that's almost 10 times that. And we're speaking about Rabbit's R1, which is a palm-sized device that's able to take care of AI assistant offerings, integration to your smartphone devices, right? And a lot of these companies, right, from your NVIDIAs, your Intel, your Qualcomms, your Graphcores, have kind of accelerated the adoption of emerging tech. And as an expert in this space, and as an expert that's been there, seen what has been happening, how the space has evolved, I'm sure even the audience would love to hear what you've been seeing, how the adoption and the acceleration has changed and evolved in the last 10 years. Please go ahead, Andrea.
Yeah, well, thank you for this question. I'm super excited to passionate about the journey, and also it's very interesting to be in this space and to have been in this space before this space existed, actually. So as you mentioned, my undergrad degree in the 90s was AI. Like, my mother was telling me, why? You can be an engineer. Yeah, well, yes. Who would have known? But and then from AI, I moved over to operations research, which is mathematical models to optimize a goal, right? And when I first started my career hands-on, so outside the academic world, in 2006 with Turner, I was the first scientist in that company. It was an entertainment company, and it was not thought of like science is not part of the company. Marketing is not science, mathematics. I was a little bit of a kind of a misfit in some people's mind, right? But I have to give credit to my manager at the time that was at the forefront of digital transformation, which meant like centralization of the data that also sparked the interest. Okay, we have all this data from the advertisers, we have the inventory from the programming within our networks, right? What can we do that someone else didn't think of? And it's scheduling these ads with a goal in mind, right? Using optimization to transform all this data in mathematical models that would schedule in a few seconds advertisement each time that the orders would come in, reshuffling such that a goal of revenue maximization or eyeballs, like viewership maximization would be attained, right? So this was a vision, and not only a kind of a groundbreaking vision at that time, but also it was done right, starting with the data first and then putting at the core after everything was well governed, this scheduler. So this took 2 years, right, in 2006. And now, almost 20 years later, I think, of course, we can talk about the challenges, because I still think the data is key to be successful in this field, and we are still struggling in that area. But look at us now. We experiment almost every week. We employ algorithms at scale. We change the ways we do, as I mentioned, we live and work through the use at scale of algorithms that are, much more easier to develop and deploy, which comes with the challenges and responsibilities, but so much more exciting. And again, like everyone else here mentioned, and super exciting time and domain to be in. And I'm looking forward to the next 10 years.
Perfect. Thank you. I know we touched on some of the different use cases, right? So we spoke about it across different industries, and from personalized product recommendations to inventory management, or again chatbots, your conversational commerce engines that are there, new product development, or even rolling this out for in the SDLC acceleration phase, whether it's your GitHub co-pilots or tools for release notes, applications between unit testing and QA. You're seeing a lot of these applications that have been there today, right? And at the same time, all of this widespread adoption has also increased the demands from your end clients, your consumers today as well, right? So my next question is for all the panelists, and this time probably we'll get started off with Syed. As we continue to embrace the adoption of emerging tech, and while we see the demand for consumers and users increasing significantly, how can technology achieve a harmonious balance between convenience at the same time ensuring privacy amidst growing demand fueled by the emerging tech adoption?
It's a wonderful question to put me on the spot. It's always a sensitive, right? So as Andrea called out, the data is everything, but what data it means, right? So what level of data is we are comfortable with? At what level of data we are not comfortable with? It's always a debate, and it's always like, the challenge for this emerging technology, especially in the data science space. We train the modules based on the data, and we don't want to train in a way that it is 100% accurate. Then after that, it's going to give the false results. We wanted to make sure at the 90% accuracy so that it reads on its own as it goes. Sometimes we have no boundaries. As it started learning the data, learning, self-learning by itself, this where the problem comes. And rightly mentioned, John, the harmonious between the people, privacy, and the emerging technologies, right? So every company has the challenges. So I would say before we jump into any AI ML use case, we need to have a business scope clearly defined, what problem we are trying to solve. It's not like we have a technology to put in place, then that rather than benefiting the people, is going to harm the people, right? So we wanted to make sure, are we solving the problem and making the life better, or enabling our people better to do the things which they do repeatedly? So any example, it can be their shopping, or it can be their banking, or it can be their driving a car, or whatever they do, right? So we wanted to make sure we enable that. So the challenge here, what we need to address, and many companies does it in very beautiful way, the transparent data policies. So what it means is the customer should have educated well enough to opt in and opt out, not to put directly as a consent from them. I'm taking all your data and trying to give a recommendation what you need. No, we need that. We see the changes happening now, even in a mobile device. The many apps exclusively ask, hey, we're going to track your history. Are you okay with it? And it can be a Google map or anything else, right? So how are we going to find the balance? The one is, everybody spoke about in the industry, not in this panel, the personalization. Personalization is good. When we watch Super Bowl in a stadium, and when we see the ad on the billboard specific to that locality, like Cowboys, or that gives a lot of positive vibes and all this stuff rather than having a national brand or international advertisement going in. But what I propose is consent-based personalization, not a content-based personalization. Content-based personalization is the next stage. Even before that, what we need to implement is explicit consent-based personalization. Hey, look, we are going to help you this, but you need to give me consent on this so that we can provide the data and the benefit which is not harming the user or the human being. And we see that as a benefit in many areas. For example, I can say ethical AI and ML practices. And also it helped a lot in the education and awareness industry. It's not like I can point out is a problem or is helping in one area. It is helping the entire human lives from the early childhood. The kids start learning before saying mom and dad, then they start swiping in their touch screen, right? That's the things change, they evolves. So we wanted to make sure we are more responsible and we are more consent-based personalization. We educate and aware people not to select everything what they don't want to see it, so that the data is there to help, not to let it go where they regret later. Because the industry is transforming in a way, what it used to change every other year, it's going to be every other day. The changes, the new things which is coming in. That's my view. Thanks. No.
Loved it. Consent-based personalization and making sure that we are adopting it the right way when it comes to ethical AI adoption as well. So would love to hear from Mamta and Andrea as well.
Yeah, I completely agree with what Andrea and Syed were saying. Data is key. And the analogy I like to use it with kids, it's like a juicer. You put junk in, you get junk out. You put processed sugars and ice cream in, that's what you get out. You put healthy food, veggies, and that's a healthy shake that you get out. So it's what we put in, what we get out. So AI is changing our world that we live in today. So there are three things I think we need to be aware of. First, what we can do as individuals, as human beings. The second thing is what the companies can do. And then the third thing is what the governments can do. Okay. And some things are in our control, some are not. And just like with any technology or any such innovation, it can be used for good or it could be used for harm. And right now, at the speed that we are moving, it's like we are in a train and we're building the track ahead of it. So we're moving so fast, but if we're not building the train tracks equally as fast, the train is going to derail. There are going to be things, not to scare us, but just for awareness that, these things do cause harms, because right now we are trying to move at such a fast speed. Every week there's a new algorithm. Every week there is new LLM coming out. And I like to just give a couple of examples, like really well-known ones. If we don't be mindful about how we are developing these algorithms, what kind of data we are using, the harm it can cause. So in, there is, in 2015, the Google's photo recognition system, it started identifying dark-skinned people as gorillas. Okay, and then they eventually, to fix that fast, what they did was they just decategorized gorillas. But, then they eventually did the fix and so on. The latest Gemini model, right? You probably have read the articles. It was called woke. It was, doing things which were not expected. ChatGPT, same thing. When it first came out, people were able to get it to make racist remarks and all of those things. So the point is, first is to be aware that this is a tool in your toolbox. Don't consider everything that, on an individual basis. So don't, like people are using it as, virtual girlfriends or whatever, but it's still a machine. We have to remember that. So again, junk in, junk out. You put healthy food in, you get healthy food out. So on a personal level, we have to be aware of, and like Saeed said, consent-based, not content-based. So all of these websites, be careful what data are you sharing with others. It's equally the responsibility of companies, but you as a user, I'm very careful, and I'm teaching my kids this. You don't just give your information, just like you don't give your social security number to everyone. Like, you don't just give your name, your date of birth. Like, why do they need this? Like, these days, people are just collecting data. Let's collect this, and later we'll think about what to do with it. So going back to that consent-based that Said mentioned. So be aware of that. Awareness in individuals is very important, and teach yourself, teach your friends, teach your kids. We need to be making sure that if we are inside that train that's moving at such a fast speed, that we are bracing ourselves for any impact that it could make. Second thing, on the companies, it is very important for the companies to, again, have those ethical considerations, have those departments, just that the same investment that they're doing in building these products and using this technology, have a little bit of investment that thinks about the ethical concerns, that thinks about the privacy concerns, that thinks about the security concerns. Because for SaaS companies, there is the data that the company itself has, but they're also dealing with the customer data. Now, based on the customer data that these SaaS companies have, now we're using these AI models. How are we going to keep that data secure? So it's not just the responsibility to our customers, but all of those tens of millions of users that those other companies are building. And then the third thing is governments. Like I said, we're all learning. So UN, I read today, they have a proposal, and let's see what that comes out to. The same thing with India. They said that all models have to go through this approval process, but then they backed out. So we're all trying to find this balance. Even the governments are trying to do that, but there needs to be some regulations. There needs to be some guardrails so that, we're building the train track where the train is running. But if there is, so the guardrails that the government is that, how can we soften that blow? Or how do we make sure that they have the right materials? They're building as fast as the train takes. So there is no accidents. So all of those three things needs to move at as fast pace as we are building these LLM models.
Thank you, Mamta. And then really liked how you broke that down into what companies can do, what individuals can do, and how governments could contribute with the right policies, regulations in place as well. And we'll certainly do a deep dive on some of that as we continue the discussion. But would love to hear from Andrea as well on what you've been seeing and what your insights are over here.
Thank you, John. And yes, I do agree wholeheartedly about everything that's been said so far. Data privacy, some kind of guardrails regulation, and the mindfulness of individuals and companies, absolutely. So I see a few things. Is the privacy, is the fairness, bias, is the security again, and the deployment of technology and the understanding that technology has agency in our society. I think that's where we are missing a little bit as we democratize access to science and data science specifically. We are so excited to be in this field that we want to build algorithms without understanding the impact to the deployment, on the deployment side, right? So I do believe scientists at this point, so regulations definitely, but it's gonna be hard and it's gonna be a journey, because the cost of being responsible from a company as opposed to the kind of speed to market, that's where we struggle, right? We want to be first to the market. That's how we kind of can win in this game. and we have to be responsible, but there is a perception that responsibility and ethical and governance and everything will slow us down, right? So what do we do? I don't know. But I can tell you from a scientist perspective, there are ways to be mindful about the creation of your algorithms. And there are some really good developments, especially on the privacy piece, where it's been shown that actually the triangulation, because of this data amount that's out there, is very easy to do. So even if you say we DIDs, like our data is not using the personal information, depending on the field that you are, but specifically in the medical field and insurance, it's very easy to triangulate and actually exactly identifying the person in question. So there are mathematical models very well established, I think, in University of Pennsylvania. There is Michael Cairns and Aaron Roth. These are the two leading computational scientists that are sharing the randomization of this kind of input of data to ensure privacy at an algorithmical level, such that we never can identify the personal IDs. So that's one thing. And they have also a book which is called The Ethical Algorithm. Highly recommend, and just look for them. They have talks for Google at Google and so on. They're easy to ingest and absolutely brilliant in my mind. And the other piece is fairness. And what Mamta was saying about, what we just figured with ChatGPT being racist and all this facial recognition having biased information and hence biased response, right? The truth is that we as a society, we don't have the data to scale these kind of algorithms, because it will perpetuate the bias that it already exists in us and the way we gather the data. So unless, as scientists, I think, we very mindfully define fairness and consciously look for bias in the outcome of our algorithms at this point, regulations are going to be hard to impose in that industry. So to kind of wrap it up, I think it's a personal responsibility on the scientist side, from my perspective, and I'm looking forward for like societal changes in terms of regulations and kind of understanding the importance of this means to advance in a meaningful way for all of us.
Perfect, Henry. And then while we're on the topic, right? So I mean, you did mention about some of the do's, don'ts, what can be and cannot be done using a lot of this. These newer models, the LLMs, and then just beyond the hype of large language models, the GPTs and their capability in understanding specific tasks that requires domain-specific knowledge or discerning between factual information, subjective opinions, or even generating creative content. And all of this while keeping misinformation, keeping privacy risks in check, and again, data hallucinations at bay from different use cases that you've seen and a lot of the adoption that your team is working on today. What are your thoughts on what LLMs can and can't do?
Love it. This question, like it's an ongoing debate, because the truth is we don't really know. We have opinions, we have perspectives. We don't really know, but I'm going to go by some of these scholars that already have been experts in their field. Emily Bender, University of Washington, has published a paper with a colleague of hers on natural language understanding in 2020, way before ChatGPT was deployed in 2022, maybe? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's been like amazing scale for that ChatGPT, but we'll get there. So her she's a computational linguist, and her point of view on the large language models is large language models can reproduce form of language, not meaning, not intent. And that's where she has a paper that's called, I have to look it up. I'll get back to you. Where she comes up with the octopus model. And I'm going to tell you in a second, so that she explains what it means, the difference between meaning and form. So let's say we have A and B, both fluent speakers of English, independently stranded on two uninhabited islands, right? So they soon discovered that previous visitors to these islands have left behind telegraphs so that they can start communicating with each other via an underwater cable, right? So A and B people start happily typing messages to each other and communicating. Meanwhile, there is O, a hyper-intelligent deep sea octopus, who is unable to visit and observe the islands, but the octopus discovers a way to tap into the underwater cable and listen on these conversations between A and B, right? So O knows nothing about English initially, but is very good at detecting statistical patterns. And over time, the octopus learns to predict with great accuracy how B will respond to each of A's statements, right? Because that's what large language models are doing. So now soon the octopus enters the conversation and pretends to be B and replying to A. So this works for a while until there is, and A believes that O communicates as B with meaning and intent, right? It's a communication that is not only about form, it's sharing knowledge. And then one day A calls out that it's being attacked by an angry bear. Help me figure out how do I defend myself, right? And I've got some sticks. This is what A says. So the octopus impersonating B fails to help here because there is no meaning for the octopus or references what bears or sticks are, right? So there is no way to give relevant instructions like grab some coconuts and rope and build a catapult. In this way, the octopus is exposed as a fraud, right? So I think what is very important to take away from this example is how should we interpret the natural sounding, like human-like words that come out of an LLMs, right? The models are built on statistics. They work by looking for patterns and in huge corpuses of text, and then using these patterns to guess what the next word in a string of words should be. So they are very good at mimicking, but very bad at facts, right? So anyone wants to comment here, or okay? So
please go ahead, Andrea.
I think it's very important in this way, and Emily Bendersh and Alexandra Koller both kind of, then where does it leave us in terms of criteria for good use cases, right? So we have to be very aware when we employ these large language models, what is important is form and not content. Or if the content is important, then it has to be efficiently, effectively, thoroughly vetted, right? Then another good point is fluency and coherence of language should not be misleading. Chatbots should always specify it's not a person, and text is generated by machines, like such that we kind of start as a society to understand it's not an intent behind the text. And again, problematic biases and hateful speech needs to be identified and filtered out from the data. And another thing I think very important is this plagiarism. So to minimize this risk of data sent into the machines, originality should not be required. So where does it leave us? What does it mean for us? Short form emails, summaries where the human can go back and forth to figure that indeed the summary expresses their intent. These types of search that are, what's that called? Like, what is that mountain over, I don't know, 11,000 feet in Colorado that has a ski resort, right? That's good. And also what they are identifying also as a potential use case is the non-player character in interactive games that doesn't actually give meaningful information on how to win, but rather just set up the stage, for example. So anyway, I have a lot of other, so Christopher Manning from Stanford has a bit of a different point of view, but they do, in terms of meaning, whether meaning can be learned from language or not. So that's the biggest question in we don't know, we think we know. There are kind of arguments there, but I think they both converge to, since we don't really know, let's be careful, because we can really misuse those tools.
Perfect. Thank you, Andrea. And a lot of the emerging tech, while still seeing significant adoption, a lot of different use cases, we're still at the start of a journey. And while it looks promising, there could be a lot of challenges as well. And that's where I'd like to switch gears a bit and focus on discussion on some of the challenges that we are seeing in this space. And so the next question is for Syed and Mamta, and what challenges do businesses face in navigating the convergence of AI, ML, and the emerging tech, and how can they develop strategies to leverage these technologies for innovation and growth? Syed, you want to go ahead.
Sorry, now I'm not on mute. I was double mute. Thank you.
Sure. Please.
I was really enjoying this overall conversation, how it is coming one out another, how interconnected it is. I really enjoyed Andrea, you speaking with a story and connecting it and where the machines fail, because it gives, based on what it learned, nothing something beyond that. That's the key message what you have shared. Now the challenges is also the same in the industry. John, interpretability and explainability. We let AI make a decision of it, right? So the decision has been made. Like, for example, you will not get this product, whatever it is, right? I'm not going in detail. So the decision has been made. Now I'm asking why I'm not getting this. So the algorithm is like kind of a black box, and it's very complex model. We use the technology because it is there. We use the algorithm, it looks fancy, it makes nice decisions. But what it lacks is how the decision has been made. What are the parameters it considered? Are we really investing to understand the algorithm and its decision? That is where the industry is facing the challenges. To be honest, as we are implementing AI-based decision in many areas, in fintech or e-commerce, or many other places in IoTs too. So what happens is we need to choose algorithm very carefully, like going back to agile, iterative way, make sure we have a right metrics to measure, repeatedly value, and understand to decode the algorithm of every decision it makes, why it makes, rather than looking at, yeah, the decision seems to be correct. Yes, it is correct, but at what basis, right? We need to understand that. the challenge what industries now, in my view, interpretability of the decisions and explainability. If somebody challenges for whatever decision made, and we are not explicitly calling out it is AI decision, we want to make people feel human. And we wanted to make even the voice call as a human. Somebody is John talking, Jack speaking, or something like that, right? So what we think is it is connecting people better. In my view, it is a short-term gain. Let's say if it's something goes towards south, then we don't know. So it's better to declare it is from the mission. And second, we need to invest the decision what it makes. We will be able to explain that. So when it comes to decision part, that is the challenge we face. But it is the just problem, right? But the advantage is we have a predictive analysis, as Mamta called out. There are many such a good use cases we can leverage and utilize out of AI ML. But nowadays, with a lot of startups, and we want it to be first in the market and give some cool product, and it's at our disposal. We make decisions quick. Hey, this code can go. For example, CI/CD pipeline, right? So from the code commit, from the delivery, we have quality gates. So before what we do is, before this AI I'm talking about, every quality gates, we set the score. Once the score is met, go to the next, like that. Now in this era, we skip everything. Here's the code, here's the delivery. Look at the observability and telemetrics of production. Every time this code goes and deploys, we see the performance is like that. The error rate increase. We started learning directly from production, missing the piece of essence. Then let's say, hey, this code is no go. And now the developer is going to ask genuine question. I'm talking about technology. Why? I don't have an answer. So the challenge what industry is facing, this is just one example on the developer side of it. We need to have algorithm, make sure we decode it, understand it, how the decision is being made. And that is one simple challenge I wanted to put it across, as Mamta and Andrea can add more. That's all from my side.
Yeah, I completely agree with what Syed said, how the decision is made. We need to know that. I've already talked about some of the other challenges, data. If you put, the juicer analogy, if you put junk in, you get junk out. So the data integrity and using good data with fairness and unbiased ways are very, very important. Regulation is very important. Another thing I want to touch upon is some of the challenges that we're facing today in companies implementing these technologies is talent retention and upskilling. So there is a lot of demand. It's kind of like when mobile phones came out. So everyone wanted people with 10 years of experience in iOS development, although it was only a few months old. Same thing is happening today. So, Andrea has very, very impressive background with the AI education, but we have very few people like Andrea. So the demand is a lot more. And then there's this whole other concept that goes into a little bit of ethics and inclusion is like, what happens to the jobs of software developer. Devin came out, and just 2 days later, Devika came out. So with the automated software engineers. So what happens? So how do we get talent? But more importantly, how do we upskill the current people? It's not like jobs are going away, but how do we upskill the talent we have? If you're using any tools for productivity within the company, whether it's Copilot or whether it's, meeting summarizers or note takers or whatever, how do we even train people who are not in the tech departments or in the R&D departments? So we think that it is moving fast. It is, but it hasn't touched all of the different workers in all of the different industries. For example, teachers, they're aware of it, but it's not like their day-to-day life. construction workers, people in grocery stores. So there are still things we can do on how to make it, but coming back to challenges that as companies we have, so regulation, governance, fairness, ethics, upskilling people, talent retention, creating, and then also coming to talent, like what are universities doing to make sure we are training the right set of people, privacy and security. And then one important thing is that Syed and Andrea touched on earlier, like what is the cost and return on investment? Right now, if you look in the VC world, it's just cool to have AI in it. It's kind of like a given. But what are the actual use cases and what is the return on investment? Is it just, like being in tech industry, we've been using computer algorithms for so many different things. Do you really need an LLM where you have structured and unstructured data and you have to build RAG models and you have to do all of these things and use all of these GPUs? Or if you already have structured data in SQL, can you have some simple algorithms built on that and to look at that? So you have to have that balance. Yes, AI, but what is it giving me? What is the ROI in AI is what we need to ask.
Perfect. Yeah, we spoke about the applications. I know the team touched on some of the challenges, the opportunities, which also leads to the question about ensuring success in a lot of these projects, a lot of the Gen AI initiatives that different teams are working on. And with the experience in the industry, Andrea, so this question is for you on what are critical success factors that you believe businesses should consider today when implementing Gen AI, whether it has to be cost center, value, benefits, again, business, societal impact, all of those. Please go ahead, Andrea.
So I'll be very brief because I know we are at time already, but I have to just echo what Mamta said. Business use cases, like is this kind of the hype is let's use it and then figure it out why? That's not gonna bring success to anyone. And it's this hype. I understand where it comes from, but the problem is that we have to realize that as we advance in technology, we also advance in carbon footprint, in water depletion. It's more than just cool. It has a tangible impact on our environment. So when we think about does it make sense to use an LLM to build that, and I'm not going to give examples, also put into your ROI, your footprint. And I was mentioning Christopher Manning from Stanford. He has a talk where he says, with every milestone of technology, we can see a linear increase in impact and an exponential increase in energy consumption. So when you do the ratio, it's practically a flat line, which means we didn't really progress that much because the impact is rather not as on par with everything that we do in terms of water consumption, energy, and mining for new minerals because of this green tech and so on and so on. So I would highly kind of advise on to start with the business use case, build it up in a way that makes sense, and then use technology. I think that's absolutely critical. And of course, the data, but the data is not that sexy as the algorithms.
I'm just going through questions from the audience today, and I know we touched on some of the challenges, but one of the questions they had was, what are the potential risks associated with the adoption of emerging tech, and how can they be mitigated? Anything that side, Mamta, Andrea, you want to add to what we've already discussed today?
I think many pointers what Andrea and Mamta has given address that particular one. We have to adopt the emerging technologies, the recent statement, what Andreas mentioned, need to know the business use case. What is we are trying to solve and how it is going to benefit. I have seen, because been working as a leader in multiple org, I come to know from folks that I don't know what is the use case, but I wanted to implement this AI ML and deliver by end of the year so that I can get a good appraisal. Period. How? Just tell me something which I can do. That is not the purpose. That defeats the purpose, right? So how? What are the potential risks? This is one anxiety. Just to everybody has to adopt and get onboarded with whether the real use case exists or not exists. Learning is one, and pushing something is different thing. That is the one potential risk and the personal level in the guys who are working in the tech industry. And the second one is another thing I'm quoting with Andrea, that we have to use the algorithm, which is, I can say, compute powered less, easy, and not to reinvent the wheel to make it more complex, where it computes more energy and creates more noise than the benefit, and it's no use of it, rather for the environment and as well as the people. Third, the risk, what we see here is just to make sure that we have the tag calling it, we have our experience on AI ML. It's not the thing what we need to do. All we need to do is network. I would love to thank Naveen and Arvind here to giving a platform. This kind of networking platform is what going to avoid the risk what is in the question asked for, because you share the knowledge, you get the idea, you don't want to burn your finger, then learn it, use it in the right way and take advantage of it. So continuous learning and all this will help to mitigate the risk, but potential risk is the peer pressure from your manager, from the industry, and from your skill set. Other than that, I don't see anything.
I just want to add one more point, Rajan. You asked a really good question. Even just asking this question means that you're thinking in the right path. So we need to keep asking these questions. And that's always been my mantra. Ask questions. What can we do better?
I hope we have time for one more question, Nitin.
Yeah, we can take. Okay. We have 3 minutes.
Okay, perfect. So from having an innovation mindset to a customer-centric focus, global perspective, and the leaders in this space are expected to have skills in specific areas. At the same time, we're talking about a talent shortage that Mamta was referring to, that where we don't have hundreds of Andreas in the industry that can add value in this space. And for as a leader in this tech space, any parting words of wisdom to individuals who are starting their careers in technology and they want to try to be relevant in this ever-changing landscape? Probably we'll start with Mamta, Andrea, and then Syed.
I'm gonna double down on what I said. Keep asking questions. We need to keep learning, and we need to asking questions. It's up to us and each one of us, whether we're individuals or whether we're in companies or whether we are voting to make, to pass some propositions or whatever it is. Make your voice heard and embrace the journey. It's not that, you can learn one thing, and it used to be that, you learn object-oriented programming, and then you're set for next 10 years of your life. Yes, other languages will come, but just the syntax is different. Right now, LLMs are changing so fast, and you need to make sure that you're leveraging all of the information, right? Like, are they even needed? If they are needed, how do we use it? Which model is the best? How do we collect the data? Having those, write down those things and then iterate on those. And then everyone is asking the same questions. I have peers across companies, like, how do we onboard people into this? Even if you're using Copilot for your company, what are the legal concerns? What data can we share? How is that data getting stored? So my advice for anyone who's starting is that it's gonna be a little bit of a bumpy ride. So brace your, put your seatbelts on, brace it in, and have that curiosity and learning attitude, and then just ask questions that we need to make sure we're being fair to everyone. So have that in the back of your mindset. With that, I'd like to pass it to Andrea.
Go ahead, Andrea.
Well, this is exactly what I wanted to say. So, so I have to say, I'm very humbled and thank you for all the kind words about, having this background. But the most critical skill in this area and domain is critical thinking. Ask why. And I want to kind of part just with the one quote that I think it applies to all of us in this field. With great power comes great responsibility. Keep this in mind as you kind of progress through these exciting times.
Okay.
You reminded the favorite quote of Spider-Man. My kid always loved to say that, right? The great power comes with a great responsibility. I know we are very close to that. Our industry is called as knowledge-based industry. I don't know the real essence of knowledge-based industry, but for this time, it is really a knowledge-based industry. Continuous learning. It's no longer like you learn the C, Java, Python, and you're good, and you're going to deliver the functionality, and you're good for next 3-4 years, and your learning pace will take a backseat, and you work on only deliverable. Now you need to work in a balance. You learn, and then you work. Whether the work demands that learning or not, it doesn't matter. You keep up with the pace. That's why it's called knowledge-based industry. It's not like experience-based industry. I have 20 years experience, but I didn't learn anything. So you're good to do this. You might be a SME on that, but you're not really caught up with how the industry is emerging, and also that will impact on our self-confidence, and also the peace of mind of accomplishment. What we are doing is helping somebody. So I can say that we are in the era of knowledge-based industry where every single person in this industry needs continuous learning. Even out of the industry folks, they are learning, and we have to compete like as 13 years teenager, to be honest. And the critical thinking which comes with 13 years that lacks in ours, because we grow in different, like Gen Z, millennials, and all gens comes into the picture. We learn to minimize our questions out of respect, saying that listen to it.
I think we lost. Yeah.
We just give a couple of seconds. It's been absolutely a privilege speaking with Mamta, Andrea. I believe Syed is back. Syed, we lost you for a couple of seconds. Please go ahead.
Reconnecting a couple of them, but I just wanted to conclude with this: keep learning. Think yourself as a teenager. I'm sure we all have a teenager kids at home. It's very tough to maintain, but now I feel like what they're doing is correct. They ask every single decision why, and they challenge for the decision, and they understand. For me, they are the chat GPTs. So if I think as a chat GPT, there, if you say it immediately, you get the response back. And if you don't say it with the right reasoning, then it doesn't go and register into that. They will say, it doesn't make sense to me. Why are you asking that? So in our work, we have a different way of asking questions. Got that? But how it is solving the problem, and doing this, what we are going to get benefit of it, and what will be the return on investment, and how we're impacting positively for somebody and somewhere. That should be the questions, and that is the human element. AI is not going to take and replace, right? So we have to continue to learn. We always need to give the human touch in that our learnings, to make sure we have empathy towards the people, and whatever decisions we do, we make sure we take care of it. That is our goal.
Great advice, Syed, and thank you so much, Mamta, Andrea. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with the three of you, and I know we can keep talking for hours together, but I know we are 4 minutes past the scheduled time. Once again, it's been an absolute privilege I enjoyed the conversation. I'm sure the audience enjoyed it as much as I did. Well, I'd like to turn it back over to Nitin from the AI CoSpot team to wrap things up.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, I know we are 4 or 5 minutes up. I'll try to make it fast, the concluding remarks, so that easy for all of you. So, yeah, express my appreciation to John actually for doing an outstanding job in moderating today's session. A big thank actually goes to all our speakers as well, Syed, Mamta, and Andrea, for sharing all your valuable insights on the digital journey. I'm sure all the attendees who found the discussion to be engaging and enlightening as well. As we conclude this conversation, I'd like to acknowledge and thank our community partners, speakers, attendees for their continuous support and active participation over the past 3 years. Your involvement has been crucial in fostering an environment where we share knowledge, we get a lot of knowledge sharing thrives, and as the contribution of our panel members were truly exceptional, we value their collaborative efforts and expertise to come and speak on these panels. For those who missed any part of today's session or want to revisit it, you can find the recording on our company's YouTube page. At AI CoSpot, we have a diverse range of events planned across various sectors this year, which includes great industries like banking, finance, insurance, telecommunication, retail, supply chain, manufacturing, healthcare, and so on. We encourage all of you to stay connected with us for ongoing learning opportunities and updates on the latest technological developments. You'll find a wealth of knowledge including event announcements, registration assistance on our website and all our social media channels. Your support is invaluable to us, so please like and share the content. Special thanks to InfoVision, who is our esteemed knowledge partner, and Digit7, who is our technology partner, for their unwavering support and collaboration. Be sure to explore their websites to delve deeper into the world of technological advancements. We thoroughly enjoyed hosting this session. Hope you found it as enriching as we did. We look forward to continuing our journey together and bringing you more insightful sessions in the future. Until then, take care. Thank you once again, everyone, for your participation and support. Have a great day and nice weekend ahead. Bye.
Thank you.
Friday.
Happy Friday.
The webinar has ended. Thank you for joining. Goodbye.